So I guess if you dye your hair like Eminem, you automatically have daddy issues. It's just a fact. It's just facts. Don't ask me how I came up with this. Don't even ask me. Not once, not twice, but 3 times do we have blonde males with daddy issues who are semi-villains. How weird, how odd. I'm sure there are ones that I'm missing. Please comment below if there are ones that I'm missing. But the ones that I do want to talk about today are specifically our notorious... My father will hear about this.
My father will hear about this.
My father will hear about this.
The ultimate daddy's boy of daddy's boys, Draco Malfoy. And Lucius really is daddy, truly. Let's be serious. I cannot say the same for the next boy's daddy, who is Viserys. Literally looks like a skull for half of the time he's on screen. But you know what? Kudos to Allison for really keeping it up, because if it wasn't for her, then our dear Aemond Targaryen would have never been born. Thank you for your service, Queen. I believe all of us can agree that to some degree, we're feral. To some degree, my legs are not crisscrossed. They're a little bit at a 90-degree angle for this man. Can we agree to that? Thank you. Then lastly, we have the baddest blonde of them all, Homelander, with his daddy issues. I think it's fair to say that he's a little temperamental.
Ashley, look at me.
Overall, I'm just gonna go over these blonde baddies, their relationships with their fathers, how that has affected them and the person that they have become, and if what they're doing in their respective stories is justified or not. Because there's some actions that happen here that I can genuinely say, yes, I do understand. I understand where they're coming from, considering how they're raised. However, some of these, I don't really know how I can justify. It's gonna be a hard argument there. The first character that I do want to go over is none other than Mr.
My father will hear about this.
Draco Malfoy. As we're introduced to Draco, we're actually introduced to him as a child who is very much spoiled. Harry himself has compared him to Dudley, which makes a lot of sense because he exactly shows those tendencies of being a brat. Just like Dudley, where if he doesn't get his way, he's gonna throw a fit. Absolutely fuming! And we get this immediately off the bat when he's taunting Ron for being poor. He's like, ew, you're literally poor, get away from me. Harry, you don't need to be hanging out with this rat. Please come hang out with me. And then Harry declines. Harry says, nah, I like the rats. I'm gonna live with the rat people. Draco gets absolutely pissed. But it's not until Chamber of Secrets where we really start understanding why Draco is the way he is, and it is simply because of his upbringing, aka his parents, aka Lucius Daddy Malfoy. We get the iconic bookstore scene. They're getting their books signed, and Draco runs into Harry, Hermione, and Ron. And then his dad comes in, and we know exactly where he's getting this from. It's from his father.
Let me see. Red hair, vacant expressions, second-hand book. You must be the Weasleys.
Red hair and a hand-me-down robe. You must be a Weasley.
Pretty obvious too, considering that he is a child. And as a child, you don't really think so much for yourself. You think the way how your parents tell you to think and the way your parents are teaching you. And so it makes total sense how this comes from his parents, and specifically Lucius, with the way he behaves, with the way he views people. Very much a prejudice against those who are lower class than them. Only pure bloods allowed. You hear him throughout in Chamber of Secrets calling poor Hermione mudblood, and it's just so dirty. You guys still ship these two though? More on Draco's attitude, not just with being prejudiced against those below them, but he always acts spoiled and superior to those, and like he has the right. He has the right, but that he also has to buy people off in order to gain their favor, which is pretty sad. Because we see again in Chamber of Secrets where Lucius buys the whole freaking team these freaking brand new broomsticks. Like, wow. Must be nice to dip into daddy's piggy bank, Draco. It is very important, though, to distinguish his relationship with his dad, as even though it's very influential and pretty toxic, Draco is always trying to do things to impress his father. He's trying to be number one seeker above Harry during Quidditch, and when he isn't able to do that, his dad is literally watching him in the stands and looks pissed. He's disappointed that his son is losing and isn't the winner, isn't the crown victor. So you can just see it in those instances that Draco really does all of these things to impress his father and to please his father, and that's one of the things that's most important to Draco, is that, which is really sad, getting his approval, and is partly why he hates Harry so much, is because Harry is good at a lot of things, and he's like, damn it, I can't beat this guy. Damn it, Harry, stop. But despite all of that, okay, despite that toxic relationship that they have where he's always trying to impress him, he still very much loves his son in his own way and is protective over him. Because at the very least, you can say that, as much of a meme as it is, my father will hear about this. My father will hear about this. There's a reason why Draco says that. There is a reason why he is always referring to his father, and it is because he knows that his father will be there for him and will do anything for his son. In that regard, it is pretty interesting because despite all of Lucius's ill will and evil ways, he still has a love for his son. Literally willing to get this freaking creature killed just for scratching his son. Just for that. So it just goes to show you that even though he is sick and twisted, he does still have that love over Draco and will still protect his son at all costs. Out of all the fathers that I'm mentioning here, he definitely cares the most, I would say. Out of all the fathers, so I'll give him that. I'll give Lucius that. But besides that, with Draco being the way he is, bullying Harry and all these other people and trying to be superior, acting superior towards those, I don't necessarily blame him. I do point the finger to Lucius and his parents because for the most part during the time period of Harry Potter, he's a kid. He's still a kid and not a man yet. And by the end of it, I think he's 16, 17? So he's still a freaking teenager, dude. Like, give him a break. He's still learning. For that and his bullying nature, I don't really blame him too much because that's just how he was raised. And if you really think about it, he doesn't really do anything evil. He's making fun of Hermione and Ron. He pokes fun at Harry. He does a bunch of bullying crap. Dementor. It's just goofy. It's just goofy shit, right? It's not until the 6th book / movie. Obviously, I'm gonna insert the mirror scene right here.
Oh my god! Ah!
You're welcome. By Half-Blood Prince. That is where we really see Draco making decisions for himself and reflecting on who he wants to be versus who he's grown up to be, how he's been trained to be. Now he's basically the anti-chosen one in this one, where Harry was the chosen one for defeating Voldemort, whereas he is the chosen one now and tasked to kill Dumbledore. This is the ultimate test to seeing what kind of person that he is and what kind of person he wants to be, because here he was this whole time envying Harry for being the chosen one. Here he was this whole time trying to impress his father, trying to get his approval, and this is the way he can get all of that. This is the way he can do it, is by killing Dumbledore. But does he do it? No. Just go back to eating your apples. Just go back to eating your green apples. During the lot of Half-Blood Prince, we see that struggle. We see that conflict within him throughout the entire thing where he is tasked to doing this. He starts crumbling that much more and more. We see him crying in different stages throughout this because he doesn't know if he can really go through with this. And finally, when he's face to face with Dumbledore, even himself, he says that his previous attempts at killing him were weak. And that he himself knows that Draco is not that person, that he does not want to do this. And he's like, no, but I have to do this. I have to kill you, or he's gonna kill me. Harry himself does make note to Hermione and Ron later on when they ask him if they think he was gonna do it. He says no. He says no, he was lowering his wand I don't think Draco was going to actually do it. So there you go. Draco never actually does anything evil. And after this plot point, he is then shown kind of just being there against his will. Like, look how fucking depressed he looks. I'm sorry. But, oh, this is so tragic. He even makes that choice as well to not identify Harry. They ask him if he can recognize if this is Harry after Harry has that spell put on him to make him look botched. And Draco refuses. He knows it's Harry, but he refuses to out him, which is a choice. Just proves that much more how he's not actually a villain. He's not actually an evil person. He just had unfortunate circumstances. And then, yeah, finally in the last movies, put face to face with Harry, but then just doesn't do anything. He doesn't do anything because he doesn't want to do anything. I don't really want to live in a world with Voldemort just being there, getting his awkward ass hugs. Like, I don't want it. I don't want this hug. I don't want to hug this man. Overall, with Draco, I would say that his relationship with his father has affected who he was, definitely as a child, definitely throughout the series. But as we get into the nitty-gritty, into really choosing what side you're on, and if you're gonna fully make that switch in being evil or not, you know, bullying and the petty little pranks, whatever, that's one thing. But then killing a whole ass teacher, killing your professor, that's another. He chose not to, and I think it's also interesting too that when he was going through this struggle, his dad was not present. He was in Azkaban. So that also was pretty interesting to me because I feel like that also somewhat contributed to him starting to try and think of who he is as a person and coming into terms with what he wants and doesn't want now that he doesn't have his dad looming over him and doesn't have that influence. And that also contributed to him realizing the person that he wants to become. He was just kind of a bully. He was a bully. He was a bitch ass kid, but what can you do? What can you really do here? It's Draco. Moving on to the next one. The next one might get me canceled. Oh, this one, let me tell you, I can talk for days. I have always wanted to make my Team Green video. Why I'm Team Green and not Team Black like the rest of y'all, but I digress. Aemond being one of my points, and the way he was treated, and the way he's grown. Oh my god. So you might click away on this video now, knowing that I'm Team Green, but it's okay. It's okay. If you want to hear me out, please have more points other than Aemond's just hot. Just a fact. It's just a fact at the end of the day. There's attractive people on both sides, but for me, the biggest thing with Aemond in particular is the way he was raised. His situations, everything he's been put through. I genuinely think most of his actions, most, not all, most of his actions are fairly justified. Please hear me out. I don't consider him a villain, even though they tried so hard to make him look like one in season 2. I don't care. I see right through you, HBO. You gave me all of that shit in season 1. I'm not just gonna turn on him now. Please. After all of that backstory, no, I don't think so. Let's rewind a bit and think about his relationship with his father, which is non-existent. No. Where is the relationship? Is she in the room? Is she in the room with us? I don't see her because there is none. Because Viserys was literally a shit father besides to Rhaenyra. I said what I said. Aemond as a child, okay, he has been bullied and harassed by his family for God knows how long. We're already presented that not just from his cousins, which are Rhaenyra's sons, or are they cousins? Shit. This is the one thing I hate about this show is that I can't tell what the relation is with each person. Nephews. They're the nephews. Not just his nephews harass him. We are shown his actual brother, Aegon, harasses him as well. So I won't let Aegon off the hook either, obviously, because he also contributed to this. But this to say, all those boys that were around the same age harassed him. For what reason? Lord knows. Sorry, but I will feel bad for Aemond. I will. Because, like, what has this little boy done to deserve all this? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But whatever. All these little kids hate this guy for no reason. So yes, I am going to side with him. He decides to take a stand for himself for once. And isn't just going to play victim crybaby, but takes a stand for himself for once. And claims the biggest dragon that there is at the time. And yes, they did say it. You can't just pass down a dragon. You have to claim a dragon just because it was your mom, just because it was your sister. You can't just give a dragon. The dragon has to bond with you. If the dragon doesn't bond with you, doesn't make that connection, then you're done. And then you're fried. Aemond rightfully makes his claim. The celebration there is ruined because of these bitch-ass kids. And as soon as he walks in, the little girl's like, oh, that was mine. That dragon was mine. I'm shut up. What does he owe to you? He doesn't owe any of y'all anything. You know why? Because y'all haven't been kind to him. Y'all haven't done anything for him but be mean. So no. Sorry, you lost. Better luck next time, little girl. Just kids. They're just kids. They're just kids. This then leads to the biggest bullshit I've ever seen in my life, which is the girl goes for him first. He pushes her to the ground. Self-defense. He doesn't come at her first. And then the next one comes at him. And then that one he slams, which it's like, yeah, obviously you guys are leaving him not really much of a choice here. And then the others come in and it's literally 4 against 1. Are you kidding me right now? Anyone who can defend the other kids in the scene and think that Aemond is in the wrong here, I don't know you. I don't know you. I'm sorry. I don't see how you can justify the kids and not Aemond. Please. He didn't even throw the first punch. They come at him, they attack him, and then eventually he gets to a point where he's gonna plow the kid over the head with a rock, but then he doesn't. And then what happens? They take out his whole freaking eye. Bruh. I just get so rattled this whole episode, and I'm gonna be honest, this is the episode where I did switch to Team Green. I was Team Black the whole first part of House of the Dragon, and then as soon as this episode happened, I'm like, you know what? Y'all are privileged as shit. Anyway, then the bullshit gets even thicker. The amount of shit is dinosaur levels, okay? Then we get Viserys, okay? This is where I talk about their relationship because it is so non-existent. And it is so sad because this is the scene where you truly see how much he does not care, how little of a fuck he gives about anyone apart from Rhaenyra and whoever is bloodline of Rhaenyra. He does not care about anyone but her. And you know why? Because they have this whole family council meeting with his kid, okay, Viserys' child, has his whole eyeball taken out by Rhaenyra's child. And what does he do? Absolutely nothing. No punishment whatsoever. Oh my god. But not only that, okay, but he also only cares about the fact that one of them called them bastards and flips the switch and focuses the attention that Aemond called Rhaenyra's kids bastards when they are indeed bastards.
Aemond, look at me. Your king demands an answer. Who spoke these lies to you?
Where did you hear this from? Where did you hear this from that they're bastards?
Hang on! Tell me the truth of it!
So your child just got his eyeball taken out. But no, let's talk about how the bastards were called bastards. Let's get mad at that. Yeah, right. Yes, logic. Here he shows his clear favoritism towards Rhaenyra. Could not care less about the fact that his son had his eyeball taken out by one of these bastards. This is truly the creme of the creme, tip of the iceberg that really shows his relationship towards Aemond and how non-existent it is. Because then, after all of this finger pointing about the whole bastards thing, he then starts to walk away, and Alicent's like, excuse me? Excuse? You have a child who had his eyeball taken out. There has to be something done about this. And he's like, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do about it? And I get it in Alicent's end. It would be too much to obviously take the other kid's eyeball out. I know that was a bit much. But at least something, dude. He literally didn't even punish the kid. There was not even any punishment. Like, at least picking up the horse's shit for the next 2 months. Nothing. No punishment whatsoever for that.
But I cannot restore the eye.
No, because it's been taken.
What would you have me do?
What are you doing? What are we doing here? The way that these boys are so privileged, it's just baffles me. All of this to give backstory towards Aemond and where he's coming from, how he was bullied, how he literally had his eyeball taken out and nothing was done about it. All of this does come into play into affecting his choices later on, as we see him as now 16, 17-year-old. He has obviously pent up anger towards the boys, towards the nephews, and it shows. Then we get the obvious first big boo-boo, which is he accidentally eats Luke. R.I.P. I didn't really care. That first boo-boo was an error. That genuinely was a mistake as we see it play out. It was semi his fault, obviously, because he was riling up the dragon initially and was chasing Luke. However, the dragon was out of his control. He was screaming, no, 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 and then it chomped. She was hungry. She just wanted a little snack. And the look on his face afterwards when he realizes what happened says it all. It says it all. He did not mean to actually kill Luke. But then when it comes to season 2 and some of the choices he makes there, I still don't entirely blame him. In the sense of Game of Thrones, in the sense of this world, it is pretty cutthroat. You do have to do what you need to do in order to get the throne. And for him, most of the things that he does, again, aren't that insane. With him doing all of those things in season 2, I think really was trying to prove him as a worthy contender for the throne and that he is worthy to be king. But with a little caveat there, because there was obviously the episode where he burns Aegon to a crisp. A crispy little chicken. And for me, again, I have a hard time justifying it because, yes, obviously that was not a nice thing to do. That was pretty malicious that he intentionally tried to kill his own brother in order to take the throne. And then he does start acting more malicious towards him as time passes when he's healing from the burns, because he wants to continue being on the throne and doesn't want his brother back on the throne. So he is really hostile. Yes, I do see where people would not favor him and be like, no, he's so evil, that's such an evil thing to do, to kill your brother. But also, I will counter with this. Aegon also hasn't really done much for him, hasn't really shown too much love, as we see also in this season that when they're at the brothel or whatever, that he's still making fun of him. Aegon still taunts Aemond regardless. For the most part, it does seem like it's pretty strained and they're not that close in their relationship. When you see that and think of the whole picture in that sense, I can't justify it, but I also kind of understand. In terms of Game of Thrones, where you do have to be a little cutthroat and ruthless in order to gain the Iron Throne, I see why he wouldn't hesitate as much to killing his own brother, since they don't really love each other that much anyways. Overall, I think most of Aemond's actions are fairly justifiable in the sense that he wants to take the throne and that he wants to show himself worthy of taking the throne. I don't entirely back him up. I don't. But then I don't also entirely blame him either. I am more so on the side of not entirely blaming him because of the way he grew up, because of his relationship with his father and therefore his family that is very strained. He owes these people nothing. So for me, I can understand why he would be more self-interested and think more selfishly in that sense, because he has had essentially no one. He hasn't. It's basically just his mom. Very interesting character overall, and he's not just pretty face, okay? He's not just sexy pirate, okay? The last one, the most hilarious one. Homelander. This man's absolutely insane. This one I'm gonna go over relatively quickly because there's not really much else to say. Let's talk about his relationship with his dad and how that is also non-existent. For the most part, he did not have a father figure. He did not have parents because he was cooked up in a lab. So there's that. He was treated like a lab rat, and they experimented on him all throughout his childhood. As he was a teenager, I believe they said as well, he was just experimented on with no parents, no love and care, and essentially tortured. I can understand, at the very least, why that would birth a monster. You know, you gotta have some sympathy there. That's pretty cruel. That's pretty harsh. But where things get interesting is that eventually his father does come in the picture, who is his biological dad, which is one of my favorite characters of all time. Soldier Boy! Soldier Boy! We get introduced to his father, and before he finds out he's his father, he's essentially recruited to kill Homelander, and Homelander himself very much wants to kill this man. So they want to kill each other. It is then revealed to them after they want to kill each other that they are related, and that Soldier Boy is actually the biological father of Homelander. And after that revelation, they walk off into the sunset and form a glorious bond. The end. Just kidding. No, afterwards, Soldier Boy still wants to kill Homelander. So yeah. Very much daddy issues there, where you have your dad trying to kill you, for sure. That kind of sucks. The point is that that's a very messed up relationship for Homelander as well. I think out of all of the father-son relationships on this list, I think this is definitely the most insane. Because even though Viserys didn't care about Aemond, at least he didn't try to kill him. I guess at least there's that. But more so on the way that he was raised as the lab rat. That definitely has an effect on who he is as a person today and the monster he has now become. However, I cannot justify all of his actions. I cannot. You know, when it was revealed in season 1 that he was a literal rapist, yeah, I don't really think I can root for someone like that. I think I can really root for a person that does that. So, yeah. Can I love Anthony Starr in this role and find myself entertained and amused every time he's on screen? Absolutely. I love him as a character. However, I don't support him as a character. I don't think you being raised as a lab rat is justifiable to you doing that to a woman. Nope. Amongst other things, he murders a lot of people. A lot of people. Like a lot. I can't even count. It'd be one thing to only murder the people who did force you to be raised in that environment, which he does do in season 4. That episode, and I'm against murder overall. In terms of this being a fictional story, you know what I mean? I can understand, in terms of this being a fictional story, why he would do that to all the people that put him in that situation to begin with and tortured him countless times as a child. But in terms of everybody else, in terms of all of his other kills and people that he psychologically and physically tortured, he literally makes a blind man deaf just because he didn't want a blind cripple on his team. He pushes a girl to the point of obviously, like, his psychological torture towards the Deep, towards A-Train. He's always fat shaming A-Train, which is so freaking rude. Deep literally making him eat an octopus, a live octopus that was his friend / lover. Really? And there's obviously more. If you guys have seen the show, you already know. He does a lot. Yeah, he does a lot. So with all of that, I can't justify it. Yes, I understand why he is the way he is and why he's a monster from his growing conditions in his environment. That absolutely puts 2 and 2 together. But in terms of justifying it, I can't. I think he's definitely the worst out of all of these 3. His fetish towards milk. His freaking milk fetish. That alone that alone I can't justify. It's absolutely correct behavior to me. That is it, my loves. That is really all I had to say today. I am Becky, by the way. I don't think a lot of you address me by my name, but hi. Get personal with you guys. If you want to leave a comment, drop it. Say my name. Say my name, say my name. Let me know if there were any blonde villains with daddy issues that I missed that you have seen in other pieces of media. These are the only 3 that I could really think of personally that I myself have seen, but there probably are more that I missed. Let me know who you think was the most justified in their actions. Let me know who you feel sorry for, if you even consider some of these guys villains, because personally I don't consider Draco a villain. I don't think he's a villain. Aemond, Homelander, yes though. Homelander, absolutely 1000% yes. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you disagree respectfully. Who's your favorite too? Who's your favorite blonde baddie?